Welcome to Sam Outside. I'm Sam and I'm outside. Spending a moment doing what I need to do for my brain. That's right. Talk about the connection between nature and the human brain. Believe it or not, studies have shown that 20, minimum 20, 30 minutes has immediate benefits to the human brain because scenes of nature are actually relaxing. All right. They reduce stress. Scenes of nature are easier for our brain to process, which leads to a more deepening of a state of relaxation. So it all has to do with your frontal cortex, right? Prefrontal cortex, that part of the human brain that is responsible for, um, processing. So urban settings, structures like strong geometric signs or design patterns, it just naturally create a little more stress. It's more challenging to process because of how our ancestors grew up. So without any thought at all, without any intention, just natural scenes. So we're not talking about being outside in nature, we're talking about natural scenes. So that might be the background on your computer screen. That might be the view out your window. Scenes of nature are easier to process, which helps you relax. So Harvard studies have shown that time in nature, 20 minutes, have noticeable, traceable, documented lowering of cortisol production. All right, so it's the cortisol, which is our primary stress hormone, that has so many secondary and tertiary implications on your well-being, your health, physically, mentally, emotionally. When we can reduce that, then that allows other processes to function normally. All right, so if we can manage our cortisol, our stress, then that will lead to other benefits to our brain. So after 30 minutes, cortisol production, there's no noticeable change. So this is where, at Nature Connection, they recommend 20 minutes 3 times a week, and that manages your stress levels. And so brings you back to a baseline of where our emotional state, where our brain function should be. Now, that 5 hours a month, now we're getting into something a little more intentional, which is at the core of a nature prescription. All right, so a exposure, intentional exposure, which means you're actively participating in your nature connection, that allows for the next step. Once cortisol is reduced, then we can allow for other hormones and chemicals to start being produced. So nature naturally releases endorphins and dopamine. All right, those are the happy chemicals. So as someone who participates in this, the cortisol production is down, other happy chemicals like endorphins and dopamines come up. That allows our brain to function differently. So time in nature, that 20 minutes to 30 minutes, actually allows us to improve our cognitive flexibility, our creativity. Time in nature improves quality of sleep. All right, so even though you might be getting 6 to 8 hours, it's the quality of sleep. So time in nature improves the quality of sleep. So that's the time for our body to repair, our mind to prepare, to cleanse. All right, so that's a huge part of helping with that relaxation and the future production of cortisol. Right, so time in nature is linked to reducing the effects of depression. All right, it's relaxing. It allows us not to focus on those other aspects of our emotional state, which are also hindering other processes related to digestion and circulation, our metabolism. So by reducing cortisol, it allows for those other internal functions, which lead to an overall well-being. And all those processes have direct impacts on the human brain. All right, so it also affects that 20 minutes, 30 minutes, affects our memory. All right, so our short-term memory greatly improved. What that allows is simple day-to-day functions, right, that would otherwise potentially lead to stressful moments. Also accelerate and help hold anxiety, depression, and bring up occurrences of trauma, of grief. So in those emotional states, continue to release the stress hormone cortisol. So it all comes down to that. So by spending 20 minutes to 30 minutes in nature a couple times a week, reduces cortisol production, which then is good for the brain. Creativity, cognitive flexibility, quality of sleep, improved digestion, improved metabolism. And this just happens without much effort. Just go outside, right? Be in nature. There's a slight difference. That's why civil engineers, city planners, are making an effort to incorporate green spaces. All right, so they're part of our ability to navigate, rather than what we saw in earlier designs of early city centers. So much easier to build grids, so much easier to plan and get the flow of traffic, but it wasn't healthy for us. So modern neighborhoods, small towns are being developed and designed with that in mind. So studies are out there. It takes at least 20 minutes. It's good for your brain. Hey, and what's good for your brain is good for everything else. Your quality of life will improve. So look after your brain. Go outside. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.